I'm Hawwa and today we are going to have an unfiltered conversation about the educational opportunities in Pakistan and abroad. Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
Good.
So before we start, let's introduce ourselves a little bit. I studied from Institute of Business Management and I graduated in 2019.
Hi, I'm Wara. I studied from IBA.
Hi, I'm Mikael. I studied from Sussex. I did business management studies.
Hi, I'm Sophie, and I also studied from the University of Sussex, and I studied international development, and I graduated in 2019.
So we have a diverse panel. So before we kick things off, do you guys remember the admission process that we all went through at some point in our lives?
Yeah, so never forget.
So Wara, bringing the local context, how was your admission process? How did you decide things? What were your grades? Did you decide on that basis or it just went?
I was so indecisive. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew what I didn't want to do. So I didn't want to get into medicine. I didn't want to do engineering. So IBA seemed like a good option. So that's why, and all my friends were also going to IBA. So it was pretty much that. I wish I had more information going into IBA, but I guess it all turned out well in the end. So that's how I decided.
So with me, it was very different because I had actually not decided to go to the UK at first. It was like I had decided between Canada or London or the UK actually. And because I didn't do well in my A2, I only had between August and September to decide where I'm going to go. So it was a very difficult process. If I was more well aware about this from before, then maybe I would have made a better decision. Even though I loved Sussex, but just knowing more going into it about clearance and things like that, which probably if I knew about the Education Expo and I knew more about events like this that happen all year round and there was more awareness around it, then I would be able to make a more well-informed decision.
Sophie, what about you?
So I'd always wanted to go to University of Sussex. I've always wanted to study development. So no, I knew from quite a while, and I did follow. There are a lot of procedures you need to follow to get into the right uni. It doesn't start like in A levels. It starts early on. You've got to do the right subjects, got to get the right grades, right extracurricular activities and stuff. So no, I did follow that path, but it's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's hard especially when you know, and when you don't know. For people like me, like I went to give my admission test the day before. I didn't prepare.
Yeah.
I just had a pencil and I went. I don't know how I got in. I still to this day, I don't know how I got in. But since we talk a lot about the preparation, getting into a university abroad is like another level of test.
Yeah.
Like the personal statements. I have had all my friends say, it's a pain to write them. So how did you guys write yours?
So honestly, with personal statements, it started off like not knowing, like I had no idea what I was going to do because they don't give you a topic, nothing. You're just good. They like talk about yourself, which I think is the hardest thing to do when to formally do, So what I did was that I actually just spoke to my friends who have done it, who've gone through the process and like looked at their personal statements and then based mine around theirs. And you have to basically, the thing is that in the UK, you do a CAS application and with that you can only apply to 5 universities. So you have to actually research well on all 5 universities and see what they would want in a student coming in, whether that's about your course or anything else. So that's the way that I did my personal statement. It was a very difficult process. It took around a month and a half, 2 months to do it. And that during your A2 is very difficult because you don't know what exactly to focus on.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing I also wanted to say. Like Mikael said, it's 1 essay and 5 universities. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You've got to get that one essay right. And you can only apply to 5 universities. So you've got to get your choice of universities also right. And you don't really have anything to base it on. So like he said, you talk to your friends. It's all about talking to people. It's all about figuring out because university, you're spending 3 years over there. You're spending a lot of money over there. It's a big decision to make, based on, you need the information to make it's a big decision to make, in your life. Yeah. So, some things like the expo, talking to your friends and stuff, I think it's so important that, you can go and like speak to these universities, see like if it fits with you, fits with your values, fits with, what you want to do later on in life, what you want to study and stuff.
Yeah, so for example, with me, like I was just thinking that, with the Education Expo, when I first was in my A-levels, I thought I wanted to do pure economics just based on the fact that I liked economics in A-levels, not knowing how it's going to be in university, not knowing anything. If I had actually had known about something like the expo and had that exposure from beforehand, I could have gone and spoken to different universities abroad and actually understood the courses to decide what I wanted to do. Then the only reason I didn't do pure economics was solely because of the fact I didn't get the grades. Otherwise, I would have done it. So this misinformed decision is something that a lot of students could make without knowing what they're doing. And they should come to something like the expo to actually, whether they were in O levels, A levels, I feel like you should start making this decision in O levels, because it's 4 years. In A2, if you put it all for A2 and you keep delaying it, you'll have so much pressure on you in your final year. You should know by grade 11, grade 10 exactly what you want to do. And something like the expo is great for that.
Even in Pakistan, because from my own experience, not just me, but also people around me, it was either my friends or family who was telling me, oh, you should do this, you should go for this field, or you should study this, but not a lot of concrete information was there. And that's why when I went to IBA, I decided to study accounting and finance. And after 1 year, I decided, oh, this is not something that I see myself studying for 4 years, let alone work in this field for the rest of my life. And then I switched to social sciences. So I feel like if I had that information beforehand, that IBA offers social sciences and there are so many career options that I can explore later on, then I would have just started off with social sciences. So I feel like something like this would have been really helpful back then.
So I mean, for expos like this to be held and in which we get to talk to the representatives there themselves, because nobody knows things better than them. I mean, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to touch upon you with Mikael. Once we get not so good grades, the first thing no university will accept us. We're done for. Our life has ended. But know
that's
that
what a lot of people feel like when you get those grades. You're now
it's
what?
Something has gone wrong. All our lives.
And then the thing is, August you get your grades, and September you have to start university. So it's just that 1 month. So you can't really sit and just be like, oh, I got these grades, I'm not going to end up anywhere. You have to be on it from the next day.
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
It's really important to not lose hope, because there are some turnarounds, there are some ways in which you can rectify yourself, rectify your grades. And B's and C's are not always the end of the world. It's there is always some sort of leeway.
Yes, that's true.
There's always a solution, but you need the information to get to that solution. And you need those connections, you need those contacts where, the university contacts or whether it's British Council or anyone, you need a connection because it puts you at ease as well. You need to talk to someone also who has all that information, who can help you basically hold your hand and be like, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do.
Because worst case scenario, even if you're a great student and anything could happen, so you should be prepared for the worst possible circumstance. Anything could happen. If you don't get good grades, you should know that, okay, this is what I can do to end up here, rather than just sitting at home and being like, there's nothing I can do. Which is how I felt.
My life is ended. I cannot do anything there.
We've all been there.
We've all been there because there's a lot of pressure. So Wara, you went from being in accounting and finance and IBA to social sciences. Do you think that 1 year in which you studied accounting and finance, you could have done something different? You would be at a different position today. Do you regret wasting that 1 year?
Yeah, I think a little bit, because I had to study everything in 3 years instead of 4. So I had to take courses, more courses when I didn't have to. I should have just taken it from the beginning. So I think that was one of the things that was a major, it was a setback in a form. But honestly, speaking just from my own point, experience, it didn't really affect me that much, to be very honest.
But an earlier decision would have always been good.
Yeah, of course.
Always
that would have helped.
So when you were choosing your subjects, did you have any kind of, especially when it's social sciences and it's media like me, when I was choosing media and journalism, everybody was, there's no money, Hawwa, there's no money, you cannot do anything.
So true.
You'll be stuck in a dead-end job.
Especially at a business school, where 90% of the students are just talking about, oh, we are going to work at XYZ company and this MNC and that MNC. So in that context, you don't know much about a certain kinds of fields. So I feel like at an expo like this, you can explore fields that are not talked about very much. I feel like there are certain fields that everybody knows about. Okay, these are this is a very classic path for students that after graduation they can get into this area of work. But I feel like especially like social sciences, most of the students don't even know that what they can do afterwards after graduating. So I feel like they would know beforehand that no, there are so many options and they also pay well and they can like succeed just like their peers who are not doing that.
Sophie, you also did something similar, like in going into the development world and then coming back to Pakistan. We do need development education. We do need people who have done those. But there's no scope as of much, as far as I've heard. So what was your...
So that's what I wanted to say when you said, people were saying to you, there's no money, there's no money. But the thing is, you're talking to the wrong people. These people aren't in, per se, in that sector. You are talking to someone in a business sector or some other sector telling you it's not. That's what I feel like when you're talking to the wrong people. You need to be talking to the right people in the field. When I went, I was hearing the same things as you. I still went, I still studied it, and I'm talking to people in the field who are doing amazing things, making money and making a difference, I was talking to the right people then. You also need to be talking to the right people, and that's one thing with Expo. You have to talk to people. Like he said, he spoke to friends and stuff, but you also have to talk to the right people. The people in doing the job, the people in the field, in the universities, those are the people you need to talk to, because there is a lot of information, some correct information, some incorrect information, some opinions, and everyone loves to give their opinions, like we know. But you need to be talking to the right people, the people who are in it, the people in the universities, to get the best advice that you can. So
Mikael, your degree was in business management and you're in sales right now. It's so unconventional that, you studied business management and now you're into sales. How did that go about? Did you have a prior experience of studying there? What was that?
So honestly, when I was going to university, it was just like she said, the connections and everything. It was like talking to my friends, seeing friends who are already in university, just to see how like they enjoy what they're doing, just to understand the course more, like from different fields. So I spoke to someone in economics, spoke to someone in business. So when I found like researched more and more about business, I felt that it's a very diverse field, to the point where like after university, I feel like you can get into anything. So me getting into sales wasn't like, oh my God, what am I going to do here? Because I did do courses on sales. I did do courses with marketing. So it's not like it was something that was completely like unknown. It was an unknown universe to me. So I guess that's what's good with my degree. Like I think it's the best thing to do when like you don't know what you want to do. I think business management is something that will teach you everything when it comes to like marketing, sales, or a lot of different things. So that's why I chose that.
So in our bachelor year, we covered a lot of topics so that, we can experiment around. Like I studied journalism, then production. I've done every single thing that could be done before coming to the conclusion that my majors will be here.
Yeah.
So does something similar happen in universities abroad?
So honestly, no, it's not similar. We don't have to we don't choose. It's just like from the start to the end is the same. From first year to third year, it's the same. So what happens is that you choose electives along the way, which is like your choice. That could be completely separate from your field. Like I did behavioral psychology, I did microeconomics. That's just to delve into like different, fields and stuff. But other than that, no, you don't like specialize into one specific thing. Yeah.
So Wara, if you were today, let's rewind 4 years, 5 years back when you were an A-level student, then you were told that, you could have a scholarship opportunity and do your bachelor's abroad. Would you have taken it up?
I mean, why not? Like, I would have loved to do that, but I didn't know much about like opportunities abroad. And honestly, I don't know if that's a myth or not, but the only information that I had back then was that you have to have like a lot of money if you want to study abroad. So that's why I was like, okay, let's look at schools that are really good here in Pakistan. So that's how I went about it.
Did you guys get to know about scholarship opportunities before you went there?
So honestly, that's one thing that like we learned more later. Like for example, we did not even know, like both of us were unaware of the fact that you could actually get scholarships in the UK. Like we didn't know that, because the UK is very difficult to get scholarships usually. But if we even knew about those opportunities, obviously we would take it, because we know how difficult it is from Pakistan to go abroad for university and how expensive it is. So if we were more aware, and that would come with things like the Expo, the universities, we would go and talk to them and they would tell us about the different scholarship opportunities, things like that. And we had no idea. So that's why if I could go back 5 years, I would go to something like the Expo. I would get the right contacts. I would see exactly what's best for me from an early age, rather than doing it like now.
Yeah, there are also local scholarships that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
There are merit
Yeah.
scholarships. So
Yeah.
I was on a merit scholarship,
Yeah.
and in the first year I went in university. I didn't know, so I wasted my first semester. I had the GPA to get it, everything to get it, but I didn't know. So it was a wasted opportunity.
Exactly.
I got to know after I was done with my first semester. Second semester I can get that and actually get it on a merit scholarship.
Yeah.
There are also need-based scholarships in local universities. So this is something we should also be scared about
Exactly.
because IPA is too expensive,
Yeah.
LUMS is too expensive, but
So if
there's
you were
always
more
a
aware of
way.
it, then you probably would have done the same thing from the first semester, right?
Yeah,
If you knew.
definitely.
So that's the thing. I feel like we don't. All of us students, when we're in school, we don't have the awareness that we should have, that we probably have now.
Even
That
for
we should have had
Pakistani
before.
universities,
Yeah.
I went to IB, but I had no clue that there is something called National Talent Hunt Program, which is for students coming in from representative. Oh my God.
Underrepresented
Underrepresented underrepresented areas in Sindh and Balochistan. So I didn't know that that's a thing that exists, even for a university like IBA. So obviously most of the students wouldn't know what kind of opportunities exist in universities abroad.
So how did you guys prepare for your SATs?
I guess we're lucky that with the UK you don't need to give SATs. So you give, I think, so we have to give your IELTS, which is it's not the most difficult thing to give, to be honest. And other than that, it's just the visa process is very long. She's lucky she didn't have to do it. But or the rest of us Pakistanis, yes, we had to do it. It's a month and a half of just TB tests and getting all the documents together. It's very,
I mean, even your
it's very
IELTS, you had
stressful.
to go to Lahore
IELTS,
to
I had to go
give
to
it.
Lahore to give it
Yeah.
because there was no space. There was no space here, so I had to go to Lahore for 2 days to give it. So it's a lot of work, and then
And
you
you
wait,
don't realize.
and you don't even know that if your visa is going to come on time. Like my visa came late, so I missed my first week of school. So these are different things that you don't know. Right?
And for visas, you need a lot of documents,
A
and you need to
lot
know
of
exact
And imagine if it
documents
gets
you need.
rejected. Imagine if it gets rejected.
Oh my
Then you're
God.
and you have to pay for everything beforehand. So you have to
Oh,
pay
yeah.
because on your visa application, you have to show that you paid for university.
Yeah.
You have to show these different things. So imagine if they rejected, then what?
Yeah.
It's so important to know before you
It's-
go into the embassy that you need these documents, because as soon as you enter, there's going to be one ambassador saying,
Yeah.
you don't have this document, you
Yeah,
don't have
and
this
then you're
document,
you have
and
a
then
heart
you have to get
attack.
a separate
Yeah.
appointment. Those
Yeah.
appointments are also difficult
Yeah,
to
So
get.
difficult.
exactly. And that's the thing, there's no one there to speak to. You have to
Yeah.
go there, you don't have it, tough luck. You
Yeah.
know? And the fact that at Expo, the visa application, they're coming, they're giving us a stock, that's crazy.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
can get these things on the internet, but having a one-on-one
One
conversation
where you can
is-
ask those kind of questions.
It's
I
always
mean,
better to have that one-on-one
Yeah.
conversation rather than seeing everything online. You could make mistakes. You could
Exactly.
misread something. I think
Yeah.
having that communication in person is a lot better.
it's definitely better.
And I feel like students in A1, A2, O levels as well. But I feel like O levels, I'll say it right now that kids would need it, but they're not going to be serious about it right now.
Yeah.
So when you think about A1 and A2, I feel like kids will, when they actually do speak, their mind will be so much clearer about exactly what they have to do. So then they won't be rushed. They won't be
Yeah.
asking their parents, oh, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? I feel like they'll know exactly what they have to
It's
do.
very overwhelming, not just for the children, but I think
But
for
the parents
parents
as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Their first child,
Yeah.
you want to send them to a good uni, you're trying to get this document, that document, that's the thing, they also don't have that awareness, and things change,
Over
I
time,
think
yeah.
now also in 5 years, if we were applied to university
It's very
again,
different,
it's
yeah.
very different, it's changing so rapidly.
rapidly.
Yeah.
So it's not just for the students; it's for the parents,
Parents
as
is
well.
probably especially for the parents, because the parents are expected to guide their kids, but they're not counselors or
Yeah.
university ambassadors. They can't just tell their kids exactly what to do. They're going to go and talk to their contacts.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
better for the students to have that direct contact
Direct
with something like the Expo.
Yeah.
So I feel like there needs to be more awareness about things like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, it's really, really important, and we've still not figured that out.
Yeah.
Why is it still not there? Because
Yeah.
I feel the lack could fill in a lot of gaps that the students have in
Definitely.
their
Yeah.
minds. Especially, I feel like I agree that the students in their O levels wouldn't be serious about this as much, but I feel like A levels is such a difficult time. It's such a
Exactly.
difficult time because in
doing
1 year you have to
everything.
prepare for everything,
Yeah.
and
Doing
A2
all
you
your
have to prepare
exams.
a whole book.
Yeah.
So getting in there in O levels is a good time.
Yeah.
It
You
is.
have the opportunity to prepare. You can even
Yeah.
select your A-level
Ease into
subjects
it,
based on
exactly,
that.
yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
And also like to point out कि हम A-levels और O-levels की बहुत बात कर रहे हैं, but there also needs to be कि इंटर के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी
Exactly.
there are
Definitely.
these same opportunities.
Yeah.
They exist. I have myself done inter. I did my
Yeah.
O-levels, then I was shifted to because I wanted to go into medical, and that did not happen, and I ended up doing journalism, which is a completely different story. But I was so stuck in medical that I didn't know that there were other options.
Yeah.
And I got into journalism because that was the only place I applied to, and I got in because I had applied to every medical school and I didn't get into one. I got into others. I didn't get into that one, and I was so angry. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing medical. And then I went to journalism because I knew how to write and I was interested in news. But there are so many other layers to media that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And you would have known them if you had the opportunity to go to a place like that, to a place like the Expo.
So are you guys thinking of your masters?
Honestly, for me, it's more to get some work experience, like exactly what I would do, like when, like we're talking about the expo, getting you the right information. The same with now work experience to know exactly what to do your masters in. So I want, like right now, I did business management because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So now I'm at that point where like I want to get as much work experience as possible and then do my masters. And also how expensive it's become now because the exchange rate it's doubled since we went.
Yeah.
So and it was crazy when we went. So I can't even imagine those parents have to send their kids now. Like
It's a really big decision, which is why you have to make the right decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Deciding which school to go to, I feel like
what to study.
even like people like us who are working right now will go to the expo and like will find out from universities about master's programs, about things like that.
Exactly.
So we have that as well. It's not just for,
Undergraduates.
it's for master's students as well.
There are programs like Erasmus, they're coming to the
They are
Expo.
coming. Chevening
Yeah.
is coming. Great scholarships. Let the completely amazingly funded scholarships. Like 40% of your tuition fee is funded, which makes it a huge difference in your
Almost
overall
half.
cost.
Yeah,
Huge
almost half,
difference. For some people like me, it's
a
the
huge
inability to
opportunity.
afford that I cannot think of going to the masters on a fully paid thing, so that these scholarships become one thing less of my plate. So I feel like this is one opportunity. And Chevening, I agree, there is a lot of information on the internet about it. Erasmus there is, but having to good thing about this expo is that you have an ambassador who's from that place, who's handling those stuff. And I mean, I can see them all internet all day.
But talking to someone in person, it's a whole different ball game completely, than reading something. I mean, it's very overwhelming.
And sometimes you might also have like some kind of questions
exactly.
that you would think that they're not that important, or they're like,
and the fact that you can get them answered there and then.
Rather than emailing them and then waiting for a response.
Or maybe thinking, okay, like this is too stupid to ask on an email, but like you can just ask them like in person. So I feel like that helps a lot.
Exactly.
Also, there are so many layers to each scholarship because you have to go through an entire process. And it's very difficult to get through choti cheez hoti, which you don't know until the end when you're starting it out. And these scholarships need to be prepared for beforehand for a long, like 2-3 months ki preparation hote before we go into the final thing. So yeah, it's really important to meet them and know all your scores. So, did you get to study what you wanted to?
Actually, yes. I loved what I studied. I missed my classes every single day. Like it happened very randomly, but I ended up studying social sciences and majored in media and communication studies. And I was always interested in media, but somehow everyone around me was saying that only like hard sciences, natural sciences are worth anything. So if you want to make anything out of yourself, out of your life, you need to either do engineering or become a doctor. So I ended up not doing that, and I'm so happy with my decision.
The conventional Pakistani social. You be a doctor or you be an engineer.
Either you be a doctor or an engineer.
That's the only thing
That's what you keep hearing.
Exactly.
Always, that's a cultural thing which will never go away. So let's accept that and let's not argue on that because you've come a long way.
But I feel like these kind of expos also like combat that kind of thinking as well, right? Because when parents are sending their kids to these kind of expos, and parents themselves are also talking to these representatives, then they also start thinking, okay, only these fields are not important. There are other options for my kid. My kid can pursue their passion and as well as make something out of themselves. So I think that's why it also helps in that way.
I think it's as important for parents to be there as students because parents are the ones who actually decide to send their kids. So if they feel like it's worth spending that much money, for example, for an international school, then they actually get to speak to the representatives themselves and actually get to see like if that is worth sending their kids to. So it's
Yeah.
more, I think it's as important for parents to come with their kids.
Yeah,
Because the kids
definitely.
won't know exactly what questions to ask. The parents are obviously, more well aware and things like
Yeah.
that. So I feel like parents being there is very important as well with their kids.
Yeah. No, also in today's day, like, in our society, a lot of kids, they have to fight for the
Yeah.
right to go for, further education.
Definitely.
And you're equipping students with that information to be able to, be like, no, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do. You're equipping them with that information. So it gives children like an opportunity to fight for that,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since we're done with degrees, let's talk about the internships we did. The free internships we were exploited for. So I did mine in a very completely unrelated field, and I did mine in marketing. I was in journalism. I studied journalism and production, and I did it in marketing.
I
So
love that.
it was so different, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I think there was a lot of exploitation. We were paid like pennies
Wow.
for 2 months of work.
Yeah.
And it
That
was hard
happens.
because it was a university requirement. So I want to glare on the option ki when you're looking for internships, what are the possible things we can explore? What were your experiences, especially since you both were abroad? So what were your internship experiences?
So honestly, my internship experiences were here. They weren't abroad because of COVID. So we didn't get, there was no internship opportunities abroad. And even the one I did here, I did at Engro, so in supply chain management, and that was also at like work from home. So it wasn't even, I didn't get the full experience. I just had the initiation day where I went to their office, but after that it was all from home. So whenever they needed me to do something, I'd do it, but it wasn't like on a day-to-day basis. So honestly, I didn't get the best experience. My internships, I did an internship after I graduated, that was better, that I actually had to go into the office and work. But while I was in university, I didn't get the opportunity to do internships abroad or here, other than that one for work from home internship. Yeah.
What about you, Sophie? Did you do anything in development?
So yeah, so I kind of got the best of both worlds. I was able to do an internship over there as well, which is hard to find. It's very competitive. Everyone is, because you have to do it in the same place you are. You can't travel abroad or something for this internship. So there's a lot of competition, but the schools, if you're lucky, the school does help you. They give you these opportunities and stuff. So I was able to do one in development where we were working with children to actually help them get into universities. So, that was great, but I also, did internships over here. And I feel like as much as universities, those internships solidified kind of what you wanted to do, because it gave you like, an eye-opener into the field that you want to get into. So you probably did marketing and realized, this is not what I want to do. Or, I realized, no, this is what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So I think internships are also extremely, extremely, extremely important, just as much as university, just to help solidify that this is what I want to do, this is not what I want to do, and it gives you amazing experience. That work experience is invaluable. So I think it's very important.
Yes, so they both had a very different, well, what was your, being in social sciences and in Pakistan, it's like a very big disconnect, I feel. So what was your internship?
Why would you say that? I don't agree with that. But okay. Honestly, the one thing that I didn't know before coming into IBA was like student jobs on campus. So for example, I was an RA, research assistant for my professor. All of my friends were either a teacher assistant or a research assistant. So for that as well, it is counted as an internship at IBA. So you work for a few months and then you also get paid.
Oh, that's
So it is a paid thing, and I didn't know about this. So I love doing that because you were also learning so much and working with professors and academics. At the same time, you were also making money. So you were not being exploited, I would say. So I think in that way it works. But
yeah. Okay, you disagree with me. You disagree. It's okay. You can disagree with me. I won't kid. Maybe afterwards. We're done shooting. So did you work during your bachelor years? Because a lot of students abroad do.
Yeah, I did. I worked at like a cafe, which in itself is tough to manage between university and your workload, and then a job on top of that. It is hard, but it's also expensive and it's hard, So for a lot of international students, you can see that they do struggle, with, as he said, like the exchange rate, your money's coming in from abroad. It's hard, and you have to try and make ends meet. You also want to have a good university experience and stuff. So I did, and not even the easiest to get the jobs because your visa, your requirements, you can only work a certain hours a week and stuff. So, but it is important to, to get that experience as well. That exposure, I think, is very different, working in the service industry or any kind of industry. So it did teach me a lot and it was great. But yeah, I did. Yeah.
What is one experience that you had you wish every student would have, Mikael?
So honestly, Mikael, I feel like what both of us had to do with working in the service sector, even I worked at like a cafe and a restaurant as well. So I feel like that experience gives you the biggest reality check. As a Pakistani, you like did not have to cook myself or like clean and stuff, and then going to university first of all was a task in itself. And then after that, when you work and you're actually the one behind the counter and the one serving, it gives you a more like a profound respect for those people that do that. Like for sure, you start treating those people a lot better. Even if you were not rude to them before, I feel like you're even nicer to them now because you've been in that situation yourself. I feel like
There's a certain amount of respect.
And that independence, I feel like that's why our parents sent us to university, just to experience that, because you need that when you go abroad. You can't just have everything served to you on a silver platter because it's so expensive in itself. So just out of like gratefulness to our parents for sending us, we have to do these things to like, get by ourselves and to have the experience that we have, So it was great. I mean, as much as difficult as it was, I mean, I'm glad that we both had that experience.
Yeah, as a Pakistani student, I cannot even imagine working with the university because it was so difficult. I left at 8 a.m. I got home by 5 p.m.
Yeah.
After that, working.
Yeah, same.
And there's a certain sort of, why do you need to do a job and that kind of job?
And think about it with the weather there.
Yeah.
So the cold, having to like
walk
with your hoodie on and like, it was very difficult.
But it's humbling.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely.
Teaches you a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So I feel like because we grew up in Pakistan, all of us, were privileged enough to, we'd come home, we wouldn't have to cook and clean, and basically we would not have a meal in front of us unless we cooked us. We have to, abroad, when we got home, nothing would be there. We would have to do everything ourselves. It would be our own money. It would be, okay, are we willing to cook right now? If you're too tired, then you don't have that opportunity to always order food. You can't because you're on a budget. So as much as like the education is difficult, I feel like with that, the budgeting side and the responsibilities and the,
real life
experiences, that's really what teaches you more than the education. I feel like that's as important as education.
It puts you outside your comfort zone.
It does.
So it's an uncomfortable feeling, but it's a good feeling.
When I first went to university, I didn't even know how to like
put an oven on.
And she helped me, like to how to like put like a frozen pizza in an oven. I didn't even know how to do that, and even those like small steps to the point in third year I was cooking my own food. So like over 3 years, like it's very difficult to do that because to get yourself to do that because you're used to something for 18 years of your life, but it's something you have to adapt to. And it's good to be out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's really good to be out of your comfort zone. You learn a lot.
More,
This also reminds me, most of my friends were hostelites.
Yeah.
So they like whenever I would hang out with them after like classes and we would be on campus and then I would come home at like 10 or something in the night and there would be dinner served for me. And I would just be thinking, oh wow, like my friend like who's from Islamabad, she has to like now deal with like what I'm gonna do. Either I'm gonna like because she has missed her like mess food at her mess, so that like she has missed that. Now either she orders, either she sleeps hungry tonight. So it's very limited options, and I used to feel so bad and like in so many ways like feel privileged that I get to just come home and just eat, like just that.
You don't think about it. There's nothing to think about.
Like when it got to a point, I remember when we first came back after first year. So you come back after 3-4 months. I got back in December, and I got back and I felt like I was like in royalty again. Like it's so. And when you tell people abroad about your experience there in Pakistan, they don't believe. They think you're some like prince's son or daughter or something. Honestly, because they grew up. For them, university is not very different from how they grew up at home. They were made to do their own dishes. They were made to clean, do chores. They were only allowed to sleep if they did their chores. They were made to cook. They were made to do all these things. So for them, they're prepared. We are not well prepared. We're not. We are very, very spoiled. And like when we go abroad and tell people about this experience, they can't even begin to like fathom the fact that that's how it is back home. but they don't realize how cheap it is in terms of their currency, you know, the way
Yeah.
that we live here. So they honestly, it's very different. And but all of us, like, I feel like, you know, with university abroad, even the different cultures and stuff, like, you know, them learning this about us learning this about them, like, you know, it's nice to like meet all different, like, from people from like South America, from Europe, you know, you get to meet like all different, like, you know, types of people, and it was honestly, it's a great experience.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is some sort of cultural interaction which
Definitely.
happens in universities abroad, but it's not just universities abroad; it also happens here.
Yeah.
I'm sure,
Because
yeah.
an IBA, an
All
IBA
people from
have-
different type, like different places. Yeah, for sure.
We have these
Yeah.
different people coming up, so there is a lot of cultural difference between
Yeah.
Sindhis and Balochis
Well,
and
that's
Yeah,
huge.
Punjabis and
It's
Punjabis.
huge in Punjab.
So it's also a
Yeah.
cultural experience if you're studying in
Yeah.
Pakistan. It's not just abroad.
No, I agree,
Yeah.
for
But
sure.
I also feel like if someone wants to experience that hostel wari life, and you know they're very, they want that, it can also happen in Pakistan. You can
Yeah,
go to
for
IBA
sure.
Yeah, you can
from
go
a
hostel,
different
yeah.
area. You can go to lums.
Yeah.
And I mean, you enjoy those same perks, but on a different level.
Honestly, a part of me like didn't want to go to Lums just because I was thinking, oh, if I'm gonna stay in Pakistan, might as well just go to a university that's
In
15 minutes away
Yeah.
from my house.
Yeah.
Because why would I put myself through all of that if I'm
Yeah.
going to be in Pakistan?
Yeah.
And I highly regret that, because when I saw like my friends who came from other cities to Karachi, to IBA, and when I saw their growth and
Yeah.
how much they learned during those 4 years from talking to like random strangers on the street, or budgeting, or doing like minimal things that I wouldn't even think about, and they're expert at it. So I'm honestly so envious that I
Yeah.
wish I had that experience now.
Even for us, like first year, we both lived on in student accommodation, you know, and you met people of all like different cultures, and it's honestly like you basically share a kitchen, like you have your own room maybe, but you share a kitchen with people. Like I shared a kitchen with 2 Arabs, 1 Brazilian, and 1 Chinese person. You know, it's like completely different
worlds.
people, but like you meet and you gel, and like it's such a great experience. You guys talk about your experiences back home, and like you become friends with these people, you go out with these people. It's just honestly, it's great. Like, and you do have that here.
So you know how to cook like Arabian dishes and you know different stuff.
They used to do that part. I couldn't cook the Pakistani stuff. They did the.
I mean,
yeah.
you were there to learn
Yeah.
their culture.
Yeah. Their food is good.
Their
So,
food is
their
good.
food is good. Yeah. So.
So Wara, we always have this thing, you know, within our university and in Pakistani universities that, you know, going to hostels is so unsafe. You'll be unsafe in Karachi, you'll be unsafe in Lahore. But the thing is that we do have hostels and they're good enough. And IB in itself in Karachi is inside another
University.
Karachi university, which
Yeah,
is huge,
huge,
and
yeah.
it has barriers everywhere, so that, you know, it's not that unsafe to a certain level. To a certain level, things might happen, but I mean, it happens anywhere in the
Yeah.
world.
Everywhere
It's
in the
not
world. Everywhere in the
just
world.
Pakistan.
It's not.
It's not just Pakistan. So I feel like the myth there is so strong that a lot of girls, a lot of boys are held back, you know, going to this university.
Definitely, I felt safer here than I have there. At times, when you walk on the street there at night, anyone could just come and stab you or anything. You don't have any, like, I'm scared being there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not any different to me being here. Like
Yeah.
at night walking around.
They're the same horror stories.
Yeah,
there
same
that
horror
there
stories
are
there.
here.
Yeah.
It's the world
My
is
friends have had
unsafe, yeah.
experiences abroad where they've been chased and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and they've never had those here. Obviously, because they have the luxury here of having their own cars and things like
Yeah.
that over there. You walk around and you don't expect. That's the thing. Because we're from Pakistan, we think anywhere else you can just walk around and nothing will happen. But when that actually happens to you abroad, you realize that this happens all over the world.
Yeah.
You just have to be safe. You
You
know,
have to
there's
be
no
safe.
like myth. Pakistan.
You have to be cautious wherever
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
in the world.
It does
Everywhere
not
there's
matter.
crime. Yeah.
Where did your friends have those? Because they were in IB and they were hostelijed. Did they have any scary?
I mean, for most part, they were like it's pretty safe. But like for example, my like a friend, she lived in the girls' hostel. So after like 10, when the library would close, we would both have to together walk to her hostel. She couldn't go alone, and she wouldn't find a rickshaw after 10. And she couldn't walk alone because it was pretty scary. So like you needed like multiple girls walking together. So that was a thing. That it was more of a precautionary thing, that because it's very very
Yeah.
very stranded and very dark. There are no street lights there. So I mean, but for the most part, it was pretty safe.
It is pretty safe. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Ke you have to be careful yourself. Nobody can protect
But
you.
you have to
The
be
way you can protect
yeah.
yourself.
But you have to be careful everywhere. That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's a myth that it's just Pakistan.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not just Pakistan. So I've been looking at master's scholarship for a very long time. So my biggest struggle was getting into IELTS and not understanding. I looked at 3 YouTube channels and went through all their videos before I went in and gave my IELTS. I mean, it wasn't that difficult.
It wasn't. It's not.
It's never that difficult. I mean, we make it so difficult that it's so horrendous to even, I'm going to be spending, and it's a lot of money. Let's be very honest.
It is.
It costs like
Now it's
50,000 right now.
crazy.
50,000 right now
crazy.
just to give one test, and you get one chance, and you need that test for 2 years.
Yeah.
You cannot change your band or your score and anything. Pakistani students are good at English. It's not like they're bad. They just need a little bit of guidance on how to give their exams.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's no better way to understand than at the British Council who are taking those exams, and they're coming to the Dawn Expo. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
the best lifetime
That's the
opportunity.
best
you have.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Best opportunity, or otherwise you'll just.
And, you know,
learn nothing.
I found out recently that's been happening every year for the last 20 years. I had no idea.
Same.
If
I
I
had
knew
no
something
idea.
like that, then honestly, like I'd go.
Yeah. With all our
If I could go
friends.
back 5 years, I'd go.
Yeah.
And I would tell my younger cousins to also
Yeah,
go.
for
Like,
sure.
I didn't know, but
Yeah.
that's great that this is happening.
Yeah, exactly. We miss out on so much because we just.
So now anyone who comes, like obviously because I got to study abroad and stuff, so like people have come, like my cousins and stuff, they come and ask, like what do we do now? Other than just telling them, oh, go to this counselor, spend this much money on this counselor, do this, do that, I can now tell them you have a platform like the Expo and an event like the Expo, you can go every year
Yeah.
and just
Free for all students,
for all
yeah.
students.
Yeah.
And it's great.
I mean, even if you go to consultants, there are a lot of consultants there to guide you which university you should go to, but it can be so misleading.
Yeah, I
and
never
it's-
trust them. Like,
I cannot
They
seem
don't
to
seem
fathom to
trustworthy.
trust one and go through them.
The thing is that you need to go to, like even with counselors, you can go to multiple. But the thing
Yeah.
is, it's expensive.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like you
Exactly.
decide on one, then you decide on that specific counselor.
And but then what if that one is
It's misleading you.
like,
You'll
yeah.
never know. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never.
It has to be someone you trust.
So I think it's
Exactly.
the best, like
To
the
do-
best
yeah.
place is this.
Because you get to meet the,
Yeah, he's the
literally
actual
the
person.
actual
I mean, there are 80
representatives.
global and national universities coming
Yeah.
there. You have all the exposures, in-person exposure.
And all the
which is
biggest
very different.
universities in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all over the world.
all over the world, they're coming there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be there.
Yeah, we will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there. We will be there.
We will be
Yeah.
there. We'll try to be there.
Yeah.
So we are ending the conversation here. I hope we had fun as much as I did with these 3 amazing people. So we are going to, the Dawn Education Expo is going to be in Karachi on the 27th and 28th of January. On the 31st of January, we'll be in Islamabad at the Serena Hotel, and in Lahore on the 3rd and 4th of Feb at the PC Hotel. Please come and do visit us, because it's going to be fun, it's going to be informative, and it's going to be a day full of experience and adventure.